So whichever jungler can find an edge for their team and get them in a better position for that, it's going to be really massive. And talking about mid to late game team fights, that's what I'd say both of these teams are known for this split.
Yeah. When you look at LGD, you look across the implementation of Peanut and Yuki Kramer still standing there with Kahlua coming into this roster as well. You look at LGD and you say, great, they can fight. This team is synergizing well. And for BLG, they're on a recent tear. But is it in time? A lot of people are saying no, because BLG right now 5-9. They lose this series, they're out of playoff opportunity here in spring. LGD have a couple of lives, but they need every win to make sure they're on the cusp of that 8th position here for spring as well.
I really want to see what BLG do in the early game with this comp. We actually see Fofo going for Comet this time, which is quite different. You actually do typically see the Hail of Blades or Lethal Tempo in the Corki matchup, so he's really going to try and get that poke off in the mid lane, get priority, allowing Meteor to make some aggressive moves. When you end up with something like the Graves, you typically do want to look for these duels in the enemy jungle.
On the note of the Graves, what do you think about the fleet footwork? Because we normally see, like, recently, we've seen Conqueror. I've seen Hail of Blades Graves in like solo queue.
I've seen, and even going back in recent memory, when we see it come out in competitive play, it is that fleet footwork just helping.
Phase Rush from Haro.
True.
Right?
Phase Rush is another good one. That's actually what we've seen more often since it's gotten buffed in solo queue, because just helps you so much getting in lane and sticking to targets with the ganks.
That's why I'm going to be watching Meteor. He's starting towards the bottom side. Believe he started on the blue buff here, just to correct myself. While on the top side, it's going to be Peanut on his blue buff as well. Opposite side starts. Start the game off with a cheeky defensive ward from BLG towards their red side.
Yep, going to get that ward knowing that Maokai will have some early push coming out in this top lane. And another interesting thing about this Graves pick is even though we haven't seen it that much in competitive play after the buffs, tons of pros are playing it in solo queue still.
Yep.
You go into OPGG, look at their solo queues. People love this champion, just is really good at getting ahead. We talked about fighting these duels and snowballing these games. Also interesting to keep note if we eventually see it in a solo lane position here in LPL.
Oh, that's
what I want.
I know we were preparing for it when we 10.6 came in and we're like, well, this is kind of happening. But all we saw was the Shy playing more 80 carries up in the top lane. As Kramer, we're talking about trades in the bottom lane now because Jinzhao and Shinmo hit 2 first, and Kramer and Killua are zoned out of this wave.
Yeah, but one thing we need to keep our eyes on if Peanut wants to try to look for a gank at some point in the spot lane with Meteor pathing up. Shinmo did just get a ward in Tribrush, so it is going to be a bit harder for him. And Fofo also covering the other entrance to bot side river, so Peanut not going to find an easy route into that bot lane.
He's going to be doing his Krugs now while look towards the top side. Meteor up there doing his Raptors in the meanwhile. And I guess if we're seeing some newer jungle matchups, we'll talk about clear speed a little bit here because for both the Kindred and Graves, what's the similarities there? It feels like Graves is quicker at clearing.
I would say slightly, but again, we don't see this jungle matchup too much. Not quite sure, but Graves having that AoE in his kit, you would think has a faster clear, especially things like the Wolves, Raptors camp, Krugs, just doing very quickly.
Peanuts mark is top side though, Lyric. Unlucky.
I was going to say that just happens, right? Not much to say about that. No analysis to be given. The game decided that's where the mark shall be.
Yes, very well said. Well, Graves up towards the top side still. I'm watching his clear yet again here because he's done the full camp, and so is Peanut at this point. The mark going down here as well. Raptor's going to be started here and spotted out on a ward by BLG.
I want to turn my attention to the mid lane that we just saw with Yuki being so low. So Fofo really making great use of this comment. We talked about it. We don't see it too commonly in this matchup, and Fofo having the confidence to really abuse Yuki in this lane.
And when we talk about mid to late game team fights that you mentioned towards champion select as well, that's why these laning phases become so important to watch and bear witness to. Yuki falling out behind, having to use the TP mid. Okay. Bit of a CS advantage getting built up by Fofo, who has priority mid too. That's a net win for BLG, however small.
Yeah, and you were just talking about late game team fights. It's going to be really interesting to see how these compositions interact with one another.
Yep.
Because obviously LGD have a lot of survivability through the Cosmic Radiance and the Lamb's Spite coming out from Peanut. So if they can get that off and keep BLG in the fight, whittling them down low, you would think they come out ahead. But BLG also have won a lot of range, especially coming out from the Emperor's Divide with Azir, so they should be able to keep LGD at bay. And they also have a ton of consistent damage themselves, and later they're going to be the ones who get those Ornn items.
And on that note as well, if we're talking about an interaction with Peanut's ulti and Fofo's, well, Fofo with a good play can actually just sweep everyone out of the Lamb's Respite, right? Like, Kindred mains hate this champion.
And that's what I hate coming into these drafts and saying, well, it comes down to execution. But when you look at these two sides, it's really going to come down to that in these later fights. There's a lot of kind of moving parts on what could happen. I'd say just kind of at the glance of an eye, I like BLG's a bit more. It feels a bit easier to execute when we're talking about how LGD really need to time these ultimates well. And Ornn items just always feel good.
Well, there's that extra bit of gold, right? As Killua going for an engage once again. Now, chat, I know you've had slow games today, but I got to say this early game will be one of those two.
Yes, it will. Another thing to keep our eyes on, too, will be Kindred's marks, though. Because that's going to be another huge point of scaling for the side of LGD.
You're looking for that magic number 4 for the extra 75 range.
Yep.
Plus, every mark gives that 1% extra attack speed as well for Dance of Arrows. As Meteor now going for the invade, but will be spotted over a ward here. Peanut is clearing towards the bottom side, so both junglers trying to track each other. And now a bit of extra information over to the side of LGD.
And when we talked about BLG's comp, it doesn't feel like their lanes have that much setup early on. You do have some in bot lane with the Braum, but still going to be very hard to get on the likes of a Kalista and Taric. All the setup did seem to be on the side of LGD, but just going to abuse this pressure in bot lane to start Dragon.
There is a ward in the back of the pit, though, and Peanut posturing here, but what more could he do, I could say?
BLG do have TP advantage, though, so will be hard for LG to actually contest.
Lies even walking down, won't be in time. TP's going to be used. Peanut's in the pit here. Gravitum on him as well. Never mind the slow early game. We begin now. Call the Forge God. Flushed away from by Kramer. While Peanut can't assist here. In goes Shinmo. The slow down onto Kramer. Against the wall. He's going to die. Heal there, but First Blood does go to King and is in the back of the pit. They get the Dragon and they get Peanut. That was huge for BLG.
They get Peanut. They get the Dragon. They also take down Kramer. And we just saw just a very nice executed play onto the Dragon, realizing that they had TP advantage. Kingen comes in first. I thought it looked kind of bad at first when he was going on Kramer instead of just accepting the Killua kill, but still able to follow up on it nicely. They get ahead in gold. They get the Dragon. And yeah, that's about it. You feel pretty good on the side of BLG.
Yeah, he said it so well, setting up that TP advantage. We'll have a look again because LGD moved into the choke.
And you can see Lies knew that this was going to happen. For some reason, LGD called the contest. He's walking down the map. Good ultimate coming out from Ornn, and Peanut and Yuki at the last minute deciding, hey, our bot lane's dead. Let's try to take this Dragon. Doesn't work out. Good Emperor's Divide coming out from Fofo. They pick up everything they needed.
Peanut wasn't level 6. Even if you wanted to use the Lamb's Respite, he couldn't.
Even talking about lane states, no one on the side of BLG ended up really losing any farm. Everything's pretty even, CS and XP across the board. So just a net gain for BLG.
Plus such a fickle jungle matchup when we talk about the influence of both Peanut and Meteor here. First kill, or rather second, does go over to this jungle Graves. Now, Peanut is starting up the Rift Herald, but this is on Vision. Pings are going down from Meteor, but it seems like right now they're willing to let this one go with Kramer and Killua roaming first as well.
Yep, you just need to, LGD's bot lane getting that reset first, so BLG just going to opt into trying to get some plate gold onto the likes of Jinzhao. I feel like it's a good move to just accept that you fell behind. Because of the replays, we didn't get to see how we got to this point, but still, LGD get the Herald. They're going to be able to get some plate gold onto pretty much any of the carries on the side of LGD could use that.
But we've seen this story many times before. And Aphelios with an open lane to take turret gold. Now, Yuki here is going to find Meteor, but he has the package. A lot of damage coming out from this Graves, though. Won't be able to utilize it with Kingen coming down, but now the turret trading begins after all said and done. I
mean, you just pointed out it's an Aphelios. I was going to say if he can get the Severum Crescendo duo, he's going to just burn through these turrets, and you know he is.
Rift Herald's going to come through. It's a bit of a race. No, it's not.
And I was going to say, I don't feel like getting first turret necessarily matters. It really, the more important thing typically is who can get it first and get the tempo for their reset, get on the map first, and maybe have a couple extra seconds to set up vision or abuse a mistake on the enemy. So overall, BLG are going to be the ones to get that with Shinmo already recalling.
Almost a 2K gold lead here. just a little bit behind. No, it just ticks over in the end as well. After Rift Herald gets a second charge toward the top side, but that won't mean anything for now. Notice Jin Zhao is backing after that as well. Watch that BF sword turn into something else. Wait for it. No, never mind. We got Berserker Greaves.
So what you're saying is you misled us.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, we see Yuki just going towards the normal expected Corki build. The Triforce going to go for that stronger 3-item power spike rather than the Mura mana into the Triforce, which does hit a bit harder too, a bit cheaper as well.
We haven't seen every Corki going for that though, have we? It's only been a couple.
Yep. It's still not
I believe, again, the first time we did see it was Misfits Playoff Series. Febivan did pick it up on his Corki.
That's at least the first time we saw it in a major region, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Whether it was picked up in, one of the minor leagues in Europe or, a wildcard region, who knows, but
interesting adaptation again. We do talk about that quite a lot here in the LPL because there are a lot of adaptations you have to be aware of. Kalista Tarek is one of them as well for the bottom lane. A lane that, yes, they didn't get the first turret gold. They weren't the Aphelios and Braum, but they did move up to the top side and pick up some themselves. Berserker Greaves also here for Kramer on the Kalista with a recurve bow and double longsword. So nowhere near that big BF pickup for Jin Zhao. Closely behind.
But now, kind of keeping our eyes across the map, Lies actually has his TP up while Kingen does not. But Lies hovering on the mid lane, maybe looking for a bit of a cheeky gank, but Shinmo is here. So we really want to keep our eyes on this top lane situation leading up to the Dragon in the next 40 seconds. I would assume Kingen's just going to push out this next wave, look for the recall, and just start walking down.
Doing that exactly now. I'm going to be spotted on a ward, but is it a back or is it a walk? Right now, the walk begins. But LGD in force here already.
Yep, and we do have all the ultimates up across both sides. The thing to keep our eye on for LGD will be that Taric Kindred combo, Lamb's Spite and Cosmic Radiance coming down. If they can time that well enough to avoid a lot of the bursts, especially coming out from Meteor and Jin Zhao, that'll be really massive.
Fofo has a shove here in mid-wave as well. Dragon up in 10 seconds. Lies still here, as you mentioned, TP in hand. Ping's going down. BLG in front of it. They're going to be starting it first here. In fact, Killer was just backing, so that means they're giving it up.
Yeah, seems like they just don't feel confident knowing that BLG already have the vision in place. They have push in the mid lane. We can see that Kramer was answering the wave down bot, so they just don't have an opportunity to get in there, but maybe Lies will get some extra gold in his pocket in return.
Look at this Maokai. They have confidence in the split-pushing king. Look at him go.
And I don't know why, but we've talked about on cast that Jax hitting turrets is very pleasing. But also, I think Maokai is.
You reckon?
Yeah, just tanks autoing anything is just really nice.
That's true. That's very, very true. It's the second time, I believe, casting for me personally, the Ornn versus Maokai, and every time I see it, I'm very pleased. It's a fun matchup to watch. I'll be honest, tanks versus tanks brings back some memories, doesn't it?
We've talked about this a lot, so we are not going down that road again.
Okay. If anyone missed out, too bad. You're not part of the conversation anymore.
We talked about tanks versus tanks so many times. Then we eventually lead to Tank Echo, and then we talk about Season 5 with Hecarim and Fizz.
Yeah.
So
they were the better times, weren't they?
I love that Season 5 time. I love TP Ignite, Fizz, and Hecarim. It was fun.
Was that when the famous play was made, so as TPing out on Fizz? Was that the same season?
I can't remember.
I can't give you the specific game. All I remember is the SOAS play.
But next objective that should be up will be the Rift Herald respawning. Not sure what time that'll be, but that'll be the one. That'll be where the next fight is had.
Well, turret plating is going to disappear. That's what the message is there. 30 seconds left to go, as you all should know. Right now, still in that slow pace, pushing out waves. As you mentioned, the Rift Herald spawning soon. Actually in under a minute now, with the Hourglass on the top side of the Rift. And both tanks still up here, both teleports still available. Not that they need to use them right now, but Fofo does have a TP advantage over Yuki to be noted of.
Yep, so they are keeping him down in the bot lane. That'll be very interesting. We do see the Rift Herald will spawn soon. So when you have comps like this in this position, the game just becomes a push and pull, push out wave, catch wave, push out wave, catch wave. And the only interaction to keep track of is how Fofo will try to force someone down bot and then TP into this fight.
But I want to point out, Yuki has Trinity Force.
Ooh.
So in front of this next fight, let's see if LGD's confidence is greater than that of the second Dragon.
I would assume so. We have Trinity Force
and
on
Blade.
Yuki, and he has the package. So this is a fight that LGD want to look for.
Blade of the Ruined King on Kramer, just to reiterate. So sitting in the mid lane here, package in hand, as you just mentioned, is big. And LGD have priority first on this Herald, but BLG look pretty snappy, ready to go in.
Yep, and the only true engage option coming out from BLG is going to be Kingin, so we need to see how he utilizes Call of the Forge God and if the members of BLG can follow up.
The package lines the sand. Collateral damage used to try and steal. Rift Herald is picked up with a Brom right in front of them. The flash. Double dazzle is double trouble. Shinmo used the ulti to go on in. Cosmic Radiance into the backline. They find Shinmo. They find a two-man knockup. And LGD send Lies right on in. Jinjiao ult, but it's into the Lamb's Respite. There's so much invulnerability here, but they shuffle back. Fofo goes on a journey. It'll be traded back as Yuki now looks to survive, but BLG have their number. It's Kramer first, Yuki second, and Peanut to watch them die.
And you talked about how clutch these ultimates can be from Fofo, setting up the win for this team fight. We saw it right there. BLG posture to try and fight the Herald, but they don't really have the engage. In all honesty, Shinmo walks a bit too far forward. They catch him out. Fofo then finding the confidence to go in, and they have the damage needed to end up winning out the fight.
And also Jinjiao on the back end of that fight as well. He's been playing great since the series you saw him against Invictus Gaming on the Kai'Sa. Lies, however, is a Maokai, but he has the help of Peanut. We're going to get some damage here from the Sunfire Cape. Teleport being matched. All right, it's a brawl. It's a scuffle in the top lane. As Fofo joining, King and follows closely behind. Peanut says no. Now we have to get out of there. As the knockup misses onto Lies, the Bramble Smash slows down Fofo, but he's not as tanky as he thought. Damage starting to come out of this Azir, who picked up Nash's on the way back as well.
But now BLG are just going to be able to take this turret pretty easily if Fofo decides he wants to, with King and just kind of shadowing in the brush, taking that ward.
Lies needs to leave now. He'll try and clear the way, but turret goes down anyway. BLG with a 3K gold lead, and I have to say, BLG are really making me smile.
And we talked about how they were posturing, decided to give up in the end. Shinmo gets caught out, but still good stopwatch coming out from him. Cosmic Radiance not going down on everyone, flashing in aggressively, feeling like that BLG has no follow-up engage. Good ultimate coming out from Jinjiao. Now here's the play from Fofo.
Oh.
Flashing in, pushing everyone behind. Doesn't actually push either of the other carries from the side of LGD, but now Meteor and Jinjiao just flashing in so aggressively to finish off these kills.
I mean, even though he dies, it was just so slick and so nice to watch an Azir who knows what he's doing. This is the champion. He got his pentakill on, his first ever in his career. Well, rather, sorry, this is Yuki's side. Fofo, different story, but sorry, continue.
Before we got to that replay, I was going to set up because of the TPs coming out from BLG, getting that pressure top. They're going to be able to walk towards the dragon first. They clearly did during that replay, pick up the dragon, and we're at 18, not even 18 minutes, and we're on soul points.
It's crazy to think. I look at Fofo and I think, oh, yeah, it's like Yuki's Azir. He's playing that well. Hence the confusion. Mountain Soul coming up on the Rift, though, here for BLG next.
Let's point this out. Fofo, for a long time, was considered the best mid in the LMS. Even when Maple was there towards those later years, a lot of people were still looking at Fofo as this kind of young prodigy who could play every style, really well known for his LeBlanc, but was able to play absolutely anything. So not surprising to see him have good performances on champions like the Azir.
We have expectations of Fofo because he comes from J-Team. He comes from a top team in the LMS, or what was the LMS now becomes the PCS. As ultimate going to come through from Kingan to stop this tower push, but I don't think that does too much.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I guess they do clear out the wave, but
Tank enough to absorb it for now with the help of Killua. They won't get it, so all right, we'll give that a slight hashtag of worth. But now no ultimate if the fight breaks out.
I do want to say, though, you don't really need the Call of the Forge God up. There shouldn't be too many fights happening at this point. You do have a gold lead, so maybe you could try to, push in mid and hover towards the side. But with outer turrets down as well in both side lanes, there's no clear, easy play for BLG to make. We don't really expect their comp to force something at an inner turret. It's really going to be about these neutral objectives.
And also, when they have a Mountain Soul on the horizon, I mean, they can play like this. They can clear out vision. They can just clear out the waves and wait for time. This is a Herald pretty suboptimal, you'd say. Right into the waiting hands of BLG.
Let's be honest, though, their comp is behind. It was probably going to time out now anyway, so not much else you can do for Peanut rather than putting it down here. But we do see Yuki up in the top lane, actually putting down some pressure, going to force someone on the side of BLG to recall.
It means that BLG have to back away or now continue the push. And you can see the Azir goes towards mid instead. BLG looking to commit here, but enough wave clear from LGD's side.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to push this. Maybe you could say they can look for a dive if Call the Forge God is up, but against a Kindred and Taric, no way that's happening. So we talked about this. BLG have no way of really starting anything up on the map without LGD making a mistake at this point. You really just need to wait for those neutrals to spawn.
But while we do, I want to bring up a bit of a interesting build. This is not bagging anyone out, of course, but for Meteor, I love the Umbral Glaive second here on Graves. When he's so far ahead, the lethality plus the ward clear with some guy who has 2 shotgun bullets, that's pretty great.
I guess it's pretty nice, too, when you know you have the damage from the Azir and Aphelios to rely on. Seems like his goal is just going to be trying to get on top of people like Yuki, Kramer, Peanut, and just kind of burst them down. But another interesting thing to keep your eyes on is if we get a cheeky Baron, because we do have a Callisto with triple AD carry on one side, though BLG do Baron just as fast.
They do. They both do.
Yeah, so keeping wards on Baron should be the name of the game at this point.
That's why I love both these comps, right? In game 1, we get something a little bit different. No other teams would really splice these together.
I feel like I get all of these comps, though. I feel like every time I cast, it's always Azir versus Corki, so you get these 2 comps that do Baron. But now we've added a third AD carry.
Yeah.
We're just going to consider Azir an AD carry in the same sense of how fast you burn.
I mean, I'm not the one saying Azir Corki's cool. I'm saying Graves and Kindred. I mean, that for me is a lot of fun. As BLG look for the push here, Sun Turret through the mid lane, and you're talking about those neutrals spawning. Baron is sitting there, Dragon up at a minute 20, and the engage wants to come through. Kingen finds a knock up here while they work on the turret, and LGD have to pay the respect.
Yep, they can't really threaten the dive, but they use it as a zoning tool, and we just see how fast Ophelio shreds through turrets and neutrals with, we talked about the Severum and Crescendum duo. So really well played, getting more gold. We're at a 4K gold lead, and that's not something you expect from BLG at 20 minutes.
We'll see this continue, but of course, at this point, for BLG, we heightened their recent play, right? This is a team that failed from weeks 2 to week 5, week 6. It's only recently that BLG have started showing us that team that we came to expect here in the LPL 2020 spring.
Yeah, finally coming into form. Not really quite sure what the catalyst for that was. We can't know what goes on behind the scenes, but could be Coach Sim performing some magic.
Well, they need some magic because for BLG, one more series loss, and they fall down to the likes of LNG, DMO at this point in a similar position.
Because it makes you wonder, right? Because I guess it depends on their mindset. Could be 2 very different things. But actually, let's not talk about mindset yet, because Dragon's coming up in 5 seconds.
LGD are in front of it. They want to deny this one. This would be a Mountain Soul pre-25 minutes.
And we don't have Call of the Forge God up for Kingen, so no good way to start the fight on the side of BLG.
But watch Media, he's 2 levels up in the jungle, and right now BLG know they have the advantage in front of the mountain wall, getting zoned away. The Dazzle comes through. Yuki trying to poke them out as well, but the Azir can do the same thing. That's collateral damage from the Graves.
Yep, and we just have both teams posturing right now, because if BLG had called the Forge God, they probably would just go in. That is about to come up, but LGD feeling fine to just try and burst this Dragon down. Gonna use that Maokai ult to zone.
Nature's Grasp is coming out. The Dragon is not stolen away. Instead secured by LGD. The Cosmic Radiant's going to come through as well. Hits 4 people. But now they're waiting on the side of BLG. Here comes Call of the Forge God. On the back line, we still have the Kindred ulti from Peanut, but he's flashing away instead. This is where it comes in handy. They hold the line for now. A Bramble Smash to separate. But again, Fofo's ulti says no. Kramer and Peanut, the 80 carries in hell against BLG.
And Fofo's the one to set it up once again. Kingen's in the mid lane. Makes you wonder if BLG can actually just end here.
This would be a 25-minute win, if even that. Teleport to come through, and these turrets are going to start falling fast.
Yeah, 20-second death timers. They actually might be able to do this with the champions they have.
With for BLG, I mean, are we talking about the same team? 5 and 9, recency or not, getting better and better as we look towards the end of the split. As the first Nexus turret is under fire, and it's going to dissipate. Kalua here trying to stop this one. Death timers coming through, but BLG are already on it. That's going to be game 1. They decimate LGD.
That game just ended out of